Beep, 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 beep. This just in from the warfront of Naboo. All able bodies are being requested to join forces on the surface of Naboo. Waves of droids have landed and are threatening the existence of the friendly planet of Naboo. Supplies are limited. Imminent is defeat. Reinforcements needed by July 2nd, or all hope is lost. Beep, 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 beep.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Galaxy of Heroes video featuring your boys Cribbly Bibbly Boo.
So it turns out that CG is announcing or pseudo-announcing the Naboo Raid apparently on the 7th? 2nd? 7th of 2nd. Next month, really early, in like a week's time. Sick. Let's talk about this. Here we have it. I'm not just going mad. That little audio bitty recorded by Tuscan Meathead was a lot of fun. Thank you, Meathead, for that. Really did enjoy that. A little bit of fun. We've lost all the artwork from Meathead, but he does do a rather fine impression of, I don't know, an emergency announcer from the planet of Naboo. So it turns out the droids are everywhere. This little post came out last night, I believe, talking about the upcoming raid for Naboo. It's coming a lot quicker than I anticipated. I was expecting this to come around sort of August time. There couple of times I was bandying around the idea of maybe it coming out around mid-July. I had theorized at one point that we were going to get the raid before the return of the Jar Jar event, which is currently speculated to start at the start of August. They did state, Meathead himself said that his understanding for the Jar Jar event, the Jar Jar Legendary, was that it's going to appear once roughly every 3 months. And that would put it at the start of August for return, which sort of would make sense to tie in with, the joining of the Naboo Raid. But I had said a couple of times on a couple of the Tribe Talks podcasts and various other videos that I thought maybe they might release the raid a little bit earlier and give us a little bit of FOMO for those people that don't have Jar Jar. Big sucks to be you! I'm joking, guys, I'm joking. Not everybody is going to wail on characters. Nobody really should be encouraged to wail on characters if they do not have the capacity or the desire to. All that is saying, though, is that we are most likely going to be seeing this raid. This isn't confirmation, obviously. The Battle for Naboo is upon us. Yeah, it kind of is implicit, saying, 2nd of July it is coming. Until we get a road ahead, until we get an actual full-blown announcement, hold on to your horses and don't think it's coming immediately. I wouldn't recommend anybody drop any gear immediately on any of the characters, any of the requirements. Not yet. That being said, what are some of the considerations, some of the teams that you should be thinking about taking up to relic levels in the very near future? What we do know about this raid at the moment is that the following factions are available. Gungans, there's a team of 5. They've already been confirmed as the raid faction or the featured faction for this raid. They are probably going to be the best performers in this raid. There is one caveat that I will have for the Gungan faction that does have a little bit of concern. Now, we already spoke about it. The Jar Jar event is not back currently, and if it doesn't come back in the next week, we are probably going to be missing out on him for about a month before you can actually get him again and start using him in this raid, and we know that Gungans are heavily dependent on having a full squad of Gungans. The only thing I would say is that this gentleman here, the Gungan Bombardier, he does actually have an Omicron. It's just not in the game yet, and we don't know what it does. His Omicron is exclusive to the brand new raid, and it does give me a little bit of a pause for thought when it comes to the Gungan faction's viability overall within the raid. Because if this team is very much going to be the featured faction for this raid, and it does not operate well without the Omicron, then I can't in good conscience say everybody, please go and rush and get your Gungans. Alright? Because it does mean that, yes, go rush and get your Gungans. I still recommend that in general, get your Gungans. They're a good team, legendary character, all that business, but not necessarily a priority farm. My concern is, if the team doesn't work without the Omicron, it means you're going to have to also drop an Omicron to get the best out of this team. We don't know yet. I will be doing testing day one that the raid is live, if my guild has the tickets available. I will be doing the testing to see what can you do with the Omicron, what can you do without the Omicron, and obviously, can you underman it without, say, using Jar Jar at Relic 9, for example, if you have that Omicron. So, hold your horses. It's a decent investment anyway. You could take them to R7 and they'll be a good team to invest in regardless, still have some use in TB and stuff like that, but don't start thinking, yes, I need to R9 this entire Gungan faction, and then realise that you also need to have that Omicron just to make the team score well. that would be a little bit tricky, if you ask me. Now, the real solid bet for me is going to be the Queen Amidala team. This team here, ignore that mace. I'm most likely going to throw Grandmaster Yoda in there just to have a full R8 squad. Now, the recent new assault battle that we had for the Duel of Fates is actually incredible. The rewards are top tier, and that is why I have got Padawan Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon Jinn both at Relic 9. This new raid is the only raid we've ever had that has a Relic 9 requirement to it. Do I think that Queen Amidala as a team is going to be pretty viable? Yes I do. The only thing is, I know that Relic 9 is a huge investment. I don't expect many people at all to have a full Relic 9 team for this raid. We really do need to see this raid reward structure to really classify whether or not it is worth it. If it's just extra Mark 3, I can't see it being a worthwhile investment unless it is stacks more of Mark 3. If it's like double the Mark 3 that we get from the R8 tier or the second best rewards, maybe we can start talking about it. But as it is currently, in the current raid reward structure, in fact, if we go ahead and check it in the Speeder Bike raid right now, because I think mine is active at the moment, we can see that the reward structure is quite static. So the first couple of boxes, you can see that the Mark 1 and the Mark 2 start to increase at a decent pace, 16 and 8, second box, and then boom, 16, 9.7, third box, then boom, 16.5, 9.7, 16.5, 9.7. You can see the Mark 1 and the Mark 2, once you've hit that third box, I think, more or less third box, yeah, third box, you've maxed out the amount of Mark 1 and Mark 2 raid currency that you can get. You're only getting marginally more in the Mark 3 raid currency as you progress through these tiers. So currently the end box is giving us 16,500 of the Mark 1, 9,700 of the Mark 2, and 877 of the Mark 3. Now, unless, if the only difference is we're getting more Mark 3 for this new tier of the raid reward structure, I don't think it's really worth it for anybody to get a full Relic 9 squad rolling at this time. That is such a massive investment, and there are very few ways of really accelerating how fast we can get Relic 9 characters. The only reason, like I said, that I took Padawan Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon Jinn to Relic 9 is because of their assault battle. It gives you an extra 5 Girder keypads or 5 droid brains, however frequently that event comes round. Relic 8 across the board I think is a very reasonable thing to take this team, but if you can't stretch to that, just take it in your stride and go Relic 7. So my advice right now is probably going to be Queen Amidala, Padawan Obi-Wan, Master Qui-Gon Jinn with R2-D2, and probably throwing Grandmaster Yoda at Relic 8 for, because he's a requirement already at Relic 8 for, I think, is it JMK? I can't really recall. I think it's JMK. And that will give you a relatively decent team going out of the gate, okay? For those of you that have a little bit more depth, or perhaps bought the new Lightspeed bundle for Jedi, you're probably getting yourself a Luminara Unduli, and she is going to have the best Jedi leadership, in my opinion. She's actually gaining benefits from that synergy that we're seeing for the new raid. The synergies I'm talking about, of course, are the synergies in the post that we had recently from Meathead, giving over what do you get from your Galactic Republic allies. So first and foremost, Jedi healers and supports are gaining 50% max health, Jedi healers and tanks are gaining 50% defense and max protection. At the start of their turn, Galactic Republic allies are going to gain additional defense pen for each buff on them, and if the leader in the leader slot is a healer, Luminara Unduli being a Jedi healer, of course, and she has a leadership, the following benefits will also be active. Whenever a Jedi ally recovers health, they also recover protection, which is really nice. 50% is a lot. Whenever a Jedi ally is critically hit, they reduce their cooldowns by 1, gain 100 speed and crit hit immunity. Really, really nice. Whenever a Jedi ally gains heal over time, they have a 50% bonus to defense. The reason this is important, of course, with Luminara Unduli is that her leadership over here, once you put the Zeta on and everything like that, Jedi allies gain 15% evasion, recover health equal to 8% of her max health. Non-Jedi allies recover half of the evasion. Whenever an ally gains a buff they do not have, they gain a heal over time for 2 turns. So she has a passive form of providing heal over time to her Jedi compatriots, which is then going to, of course, trigger this additional defense boost. When another Jedi has heal over time, and potency up. They've also got an additional 40% counter chance and deal true damage when using an ability. This is why I'm suggesting people start using Kit Fisto in this team, because Kit Fisto's first special over here, Turn the Tide, deal physical damage to all enemies and grant all allies potency up for 3 turns. He is the only Jedi in the game that is able to pass this buff, so under a Lumi lead, with GMY potentially, if you're not using him with a Queen Amidala, you'll be able to have constant sources of heal over time and potency up, which is going to give you all of those juicy benefits from this wonderful Galactic Republic faction modifier. So we'll be able to have essentially 50% defense on our Jedi, as well as having an additional 40% counter chance and deal true damage whenever we use an ability. Now that means every counter, every basic, every special, true damage. That true damage, how much it actually deals, we have no idea. How much that's going to translate into points in the raid, we have no idea. So at the moment, this is just theory crafting right now until we can actually get our teeth stuck into the raid. Finally, whenever Jedi Healer uses a special ability, they dispel all buffs on the target enemy. We don't know how important this is going to be. Maybe dispelling buffs is going to be of vital importance. We just don't know. So to round out that team, I'm throwing in Ki-Adi-Mundi and potentially Shaak Ti. Now, the reason I've got Grandmaster Yoda in here is just because I feel like the synergy overall for this team is very good, but I'm probably going to be swapping Mace and Grandmaster Yoda just to be able to get a higher tier here. If I deem that the additional relic levels on this team makes it worthwhile and extra relic levels on Mace is worthwhile, I'll probably end up doing that. So the reason I'm throwing Ki-Adi-Mundi in here is simply because of his Jedi Council unique. What this is doing is, if all the allies at the start of the battle are Galactic Republic Jedi, they're going to be gaining 30 speed, 40% additional max health, which is going to feed into Lumi's leadership, and an additional 20% offense. This second part, though, is incredibly valuable. Galactic Republic Jedi allies that are either a support or a healer role will have additional offense equal to 10% of their max health. He's passing 40% max health. We are also gaining additional max health bonuses from the Galactic Republic modifier, which is then going to translate into additional offense. And of course, as you know, Shaak Ti is a support character over here, which is why we're suggesting Shaak Ti. She is also able to pass some additional buffs over here. And so is Grandmaster Yoda. He is also a support character, and he already does pretty decent damage anyway. So if we are going to be gaining additional max health, transferring that max health into additional offense, throwing it on these support characters, they'll all of a sudden start to be able to hit really hard. Apart from that, I have got a Separatist team over here that I am toying around the idea with. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. There are some additional synergies between Sith and Separatists. Particularly Darth Sidious is able to pass his leadership at a max level to all Separatist allies, even when he's not in the leadership position, which is kind of weird because I think he'll be able to pass it to, like, even if he's in, like, a Queen Amidala lead, he'll be able to pass it to any Separatists that are on the team. Maybe there's some theory crafting that can be done there. Don't know quite yet until we see the actual battle mechanics of the raid, but I doubt it. So I'm toying with the idea at the moment of throwing Nute Gunray lead with Stap, B1, Sidious and Maul, because there are some additional Sith synergies in the Separatist modifier. So if we go ahead and take a look over here, we can see Sidious's leadership will be active if there is a Separatist ally in the team. If he's not in the leader slot. Separatist and Sith allies have got 100% additional max health, 50% potency, 25% accuracy and offense, and 20 speed, which gets tripled for Darth Maul, so he's actually getting 60 speed. Whenever Separatists or Sith allies gain bonus turn meter, they're going to be gaining 10% crit chance and crit damage, unfortunately only for 1 turn, and whenever they take damage, they gain stacking 20% defense for 1 turn, which is quite good. We don't know how many attacks per turn they're going to do, we don't know how much damage they're going to do, but ramping quite a high amount of defense is quite nice. Whenever an enemy is defeated by a Separatist or Sith ally, all allies are going to be recovering 15% health and protection, and whenever a Sith ally inflicts a debuff, they're also going to be dealing 5% max health damage to the target enemy, which can't be evaded, which is not too bad because Sidious, for example, his AoE over there can apply, I think it's up to 3 damage over times, and that's on all enemies. So theoretically, we could be dealing, 15% max health damage to all enemies in one move, which isn't too bad. Whenever a Separatist in the leader's slot uses a special ability, the Sith allies are going to assist, which again is quite nice. Debuffs on basics from both Maul and from Sidious, which could mean additional max health damage. Now, I don't know if we are simply going to be better off with a standard Newt Separatist team, which is going to be including stuff like B2 and Droidica instead of Sidious and Maul. I'm just trying to think of things that have already got a higher relic investment than the bare bones. Now, the final team that I've got down here is not exactly an ideal team. It's a Keller and Beck leadership with essentially leftover Jedi. I've thrown in Qui-Gon Jinn. He is a support, so he is going to be gaining additional benefits. But unfortunately, because we don't actually have a Jedi healer in the leader slot, we are not really going to be gaining all the benefits that we could. The only other Jedi healer in the game that is available, at least for us to use as a Jedi, is going to be Jedi Consular. And unfortunately, my Jedi Consular at this point in time does not have any investment, as you'll soon see. He's what, Gear 4, level 50. But he's the only other Jedi healer that we can use that will actually trigger that benefit. Now, I will be doing testing on another account that has got a Relic 7, I want to say, Jedi Consular, so I will be able to tell you very quickly on whether or not having this guy healers, leadership triggering the bonus effects, the faction effects for Galactic Republic is actually worthwhile. At this point, I would say hold your horses, don't invest just yet. There's no point investing until we've got some empirical evidence and we can actually say this is the way to go. The last thing that I want to say about this raid is it is going to be dependent on your relic levels. Obviously, there are tiers that have got relic level gate locks or gear locks applied to them, but some of the faction abilities, some of the faction special effects or bonuses that you get only trigger at certain thresholds, okay? So as we can see over here at the start, you've got Roger, for example, the command droid in the enemy team is going to start calling additional allies to assist. That's one of the modifiers there. If we start going down, Staps are going to gain additional benefits. The enemy's commander droid is going to gain additional benefits level 2. At level 3, we are going to see the start of the faction bonuses over here. So, for example, Galactic Republic are going to be gaining 50% defense for healers and tanks. The ally in the leader slot is a healer, 50% defense on an ally when they have heal over time. So that's just one of the benefits that we saw earlier. Doesn't even give you the whole array of benefits. Keep on going down. If the leader is a healer in the healer slot, the Galactic Republic allies are going to be increasing target enemy cooldowns by 1 when they use specials, stuff like that. So to fully benefit from this, you're going to have more relic levels invested. Obviously, that means a higher score and higher personal reward track, as well as better guild results, but you're probably going to have to tailor your teams based on the number of relic levels invested in the teams. Some of these things are going to work at certain levels, but not at others. And that's one of the things that really does start to worry me a little bit about the Separatists. They're only starting to get their faction bonuses at Relic 7, and they only really finished them off, I believe, at the level 9. And I can't see loads of people taking all of their Separatists and all of their Galactic Republic to Relic 9 right at the start. It feels like it's going to be a heavy investment. Now, obviously, some of the benefits will work, I think, regardless of the tier that we're using. That is going to wait and see. We're going to have to just see how that raid operates. But all in all, it's good to have a confirmation of the date. We know the characters that we need to do. All I'm saying is play it cautious right now, guys. Don't pull the trigger early. Don't invest early. There's no point until we see people actually go out there and put out some evidence of what is the best teams to be using, what are the best bang for buck overall in the game. Just hold off. You'll have a couple of weeks, basically, and then we'll get to see where the best place to invest is. Let me know in the comment section down below, guys, what teams are you going to invest in, and are you happy overall with how this raid is rolling out, and are you ready for Jar Jar? All interesting things. Final comment, I would say, try to make sure that you are ready for Jar Jar the next time he comes around. You don't want to be waiting for an extra 3 months to start investing in this team. It's going to be really sucky the longer you will have to go without having a full team of Gungans, I feel. All right? All the best then, guys. I will see you all in the very next video. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Peace out, and may the Force be with you.